If you ask anyone who grew up in the 70s and 80s, they will all tell you exactly the same thing. That McDonald's fries used to taste completely different. It's crispier, richer, and has a deeply savory, almost legendary flavor that modern fries just cannot replicate. It wasn't your imagination. The recipe really was different. But on July 23rd, 1990, the legendary flavor profile vanished overnight. So today, we are unlocking the secret corporate ingredient behind that original recipe, the multi-million-dollar public crusade that killed it, and the shocking food politics twist that proves the replacement was actually far worse for you. To understand why those old school fries taste like a culinary masterpiece, we have to look back at Ray Kroc. Now, Kroc was completely obsessed with the science of a French fry. In his personal memoir, he famously wrote that the potato process was a sacred ritual that had to be followed to the letter. He didn't want a limpy, soggy, bland side dish. He wanted an addictive, crispy crunch. To get that perfect crunch, McDonald's created a proprietary cooking fat mixture known eternally as Formula 47. Now, when you buy fast food fries today, you assume they are fried in standard vegetable oil. But Formula 47 wasn't a plant product. It was roughly 93% beef tallow fat and only 7% soybean oil. Because animal fats handle intense heat beautifully and naturally infuse carbohydrates with rich amino acid, it gave the fries an unmistakable, deeply satisfying, savory umami hit. For decades, this beef tallow blend was McDonald's absolute crowning achievement. But as this channel focuses on food politics, we know that the corporate success always attracts a regulatory battle. Enter a man named Phil Sokolof. Sokolof wasn't a politician, nor was he a chef or a doctor. He was a wealthy manufacturing businessman from Nebraska. But in 1966, at just 43 years old, Sokolof suffered a near-fatal, massive heart attack. It terrified him and completely changed his life's mission. He became absolutely convinced that cholesterol and saturated animal fat in the American diet were a ticking time bomb, killing millions of citizens. Sokolof founded a group called the National Heart Savers Association, and he used his immense personal fortune to declare absolute war on fast food. He spent over $15 million of his own money buying aggressive, unyielding, full-page ads in the major national newspapers like the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. He pointed a finger straight at the Golden Arches and running headlines accusing them of poisoning the public with saturated beef fat. He even organized public protests. The media picked it up and the public panicked. McDonald's stock prices began to shake and corporate executives found themselves backed entirely into a corner. On July 23, 1990, the corporate pressure broke. McDonald's officially surrendered the public relations nightmare. They announced they were completely removing beef tallow from their fries across all locations, replacing it with 100% cholesterol-free vegetable oil. Phil Sokolof celebrated it as a historic victory for public health. Wall Street breathed a sigh of relief. But the consumers immediately noticed that the legendary, rich, crispy texture of the fry had completely died. But here's the ultimate tragic twist of food politics that wellness influencers rarely talk about. To make that new vegetable oil shelf stable and to try and artificially mimic the classic beef tallow crunch, the food industry had to heavily process the plant oil. They used a process called partial hydrogenation, creating what we now know as trans fat. Decades later, modern nutritional science and current health guidelines dropped a bombshell. Industrial trans fats were actually far worse for your cardiovascular health and arteries than traditional natural animal fats. In a frantic corporate scramble to make the French fry healthier to appease a public crusade, they accidentally made it significantly worse for the human body, all while permanently ruining the flavor. Today, the wheel of food history are turning again, with modern health movements putting a massive spotlight back on whole, nutrient-dense, traditional cooking fats. Beef tallow is making a massive, historic comeback in gourmet kitchens and trendy food trucks all over the world. But for the global corporate chains, that legendary pre-1990 recipe is locked firmly away in history. It just goes to show you that food politics is always wilder, messier, and more interconnected than the advertising headlines want you to think. What do you think? If McDonald's brought back the original beef tallow fry as a limited edition menu run today, would you line up at the drive-thru to try it? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button right now to keep uncovering the real, everyday stories hidden inside our food system. I will see you all in our next food adventure.